So
Talk
for
about
me, I
it.
mean, like my first real experience, I mean, I was 19 years old and I'm 39. So this is
Oh,
literally
okay.
20 years ago. So this is
Yeah.
before there was no
Right.
secret or anything
Yeah.
like that. And I mean, quite possibly somebody in the planet obviously was using the term vision board
Oh, yeah.
20 plus years ago, but I honestly don't know if they were
Right.
if that term was popularized or because I was so far removed from the types of
Yeah.
conversations that we're about to have in our having that
Yeah.
I don't know what I didn't know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Same is true right now and every day. I don't know what I don't know. Um, but back then, I wasn't in any kind of discussions like this at all. So I literally created a collage. That's what ended up happening.
Oh, okay.
I was, I didn't want to go to college, and I didn't like school, didn't like high
Yeah.
school, didn't want to go to college. Wasn't sure what kind of direction to take my life in, so I just went to work
Yeah.
just to make some money, and it was just a retail job.
Mm.
And shortly after I got fired. so
Yeah.
so all of a sudden I'm out of high school. I'm not going to college. I'm unemployed and I'm collecting I don't know what it was, maybe $350 a week on unemployment.
Yeah.
And spending about 13 hours a day just watching TV in this small
Yeah.
like little 11 by 11 room
Yeah.
and just smoking cigarettes, not leaving my house. It was a really tough time.
Yeah.
And long story short, I had a good group of friends, but my girlfriend had, kind of messed around on me. And so I
Mm.
was hanging out with my friends. I was literally just isolated in a room for 13 hours a day watching TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
finally, I was just like, something's got it. Like, this is not, I'm literally could feel myself like dying. This went on
Yeah.
for probably about a good 10 months.
Yeah.
And also my mom's encouraging me, like, you gotta go get a life, like get the hell out of the house,
Right.
like
Yeah.
go do something. And it was bad. I can laugh now, but it wasn't funny at the time. So long story short, I ended up going to the store, getting poster board, big lime green sheet of poster board like you would in school project.
Hmm.
And my mom had all of these magazines, this was at the time when we actually developed pictures, so I actually had physical pictures that I
Yeah.
could cut. And
Right.
so I took pictures of my life, of me. At the time I was I was an MC and a b-boy and very creative and stuff
Oh,
like that.
cool.
So I took pictures of me breakdancing and MCing on the mic and pictures of my
Yeah.
friends, and I made
Yeah.
a section for that. And I took pictures of me and my family, visiting my family in California. I lived in Connecticut at the time.
Okay.
Pictures of me and my happy times and all
Yeah.
these things. Put that there, and then I took magazine cutouts from my mom's magazines
Mm.
of like places that I wanted to travel to, and I put that on
Yeah.
there, and I put sayings obviously and people I looked up to, BC Boys, and I put
Yeah.
dollar amounts on there and
Yeah.
all that kind of crazy.
Right.
So long story short, it only took about I think 2 weeks. About 2 weeks
Whoa.
after I made this thing and hung it up, that I that I
What?
yeah that I got an interview at an insurance company down the street.
Yeah.
So I went from just being in my room all day, barely scraping by to survive,
Yeah.
to getting my first corporate job, and it was an entry level position.
Yeah.
But this is what it did for me. This is what I want to explain is that
Yeah.
the law of attraction is more about our emotional state than anything, because that's what
Mm.
actually creates the frequency and the vibration that we're putting out into the world,
Yeah.
right? So that's what makes us the magnet. And so
Yeah.
emotionally, what shifted was this newfound determination, and
Oh, okay.
I had a place to point my thoughts
Yeah.
and to point my emotions,
Yeah.
right? And so when I went to this interview, I actually failed the aptitude test to get an entry level position.
Oh, dang.
It was a data entry position,
Yeah.
but because of where I was in my mindset and my attitude, the person who was doing the hiring in HR, she was so moved by my manners and my presence that she had me back to retake it to see if I would improve enough to still recommend me for
Wow.
the position,
Wow.
which I
Yeah.
did. Yeah,
Whoa, that's amazing. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
she
So
saw something in
that
you,
was the first thing.
She saw
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
totally, totally. And so I believe, like, that to me is the law of attraction. It's not necessarily that, and I've got many other stories since then about, that same board 4 years later. I come back
Yeah.
from a vacation, Hawaiian vacation,
Uh,
and I hadn't looked at the board in probably a year, maybe more, maybe 2 years.
yeah.
And I walked past it, and it was like it was in the closet. It was almost like tucked away, but it was still
Yeah.
pinned up. And
Yeah.
I walked past it, and all of a sudden, in the corner of my eye, I'm like, something really familiar caught my eye, and I'm looking
Yeah.
at the board, and it's a guy and a girl who are snorkeling in North Shore, Hawaii.
Oh,
And it was
wow.
quite literally where I was like just days prior.
Wow.
So it's
Yeah.
like little things like that actually did occur, that were very specific.
Yeah.
And yet, in my experience, the more specific I try to be, the more I try to say it has to look a certain way or it has to be a certain thing, the more I feel like I get in the way of it. I'd say, if I want to say that the best thing I've ever attracted in my life using this
Yeah.
principle is when I recognized that, I was mentoring with this life and business coach years ago. I had already started coaching, and I was kind of I wasn't as successful as I am today doing it. I was kind of like making my way. I was figuring it out. It was a very new venture for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was a financial planner for 7 years prior to that. So I was good at that, and I knew how to do that, but I didn't know how to make the transition to life and business coach. So I was doing, my best. I was in a mastermind group and kind of figuring things out. And I was getting clients and getting by. I saw this woman on the internet that I wanted to interview. So I contacted her through Twitter.
Yeah.
And she was promoting her, at the time, I think it had just become a best-selling book. And so I was like, I would love to interview you. I love the stuff that you've been sharing. I loved your book. And I had a blog that I was, doing consistent interviews on. And so my point is that I did the interview, and then we ended up kind of hitting it off. I ended up working for her almost like in an apprenticeship while I was building my practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I would come out to La Jolla, California from Connecticut every 3 months to help her build her business. I was helping her manage and kind of run her quarterly events with her mastermind group.
Oh, okay.
She had a business mastermind group that she was running.
Yeah.
And so I would come out every quarter to the live weekend and help her run the live event. So great learning opportunity, all like-minded. The room was awesome. It gave me an opportunity to coach because she started kind of bringing me more and more into her business.
Yeah.
And what happened was, eventually I would start to go back home after like the third time, and I would be in La Jolla, gorgeous, location, amazing, having these entrepreneurial conversations, and just everything's high energy and the sun shining. And then I would go back to Connecticut, where the experience was not that, let's put it that way.
No, yeah.
Very different.
Right.
And my amazing friends who I'd loved for years and years and years, we just weren't on the same page anymore. We just were doing different things with our lives.
Yeah.
No right or wrong or good or bad. It's just they were going in a different direction. Yeah. So I recognized, like, frequency-wise, emotional-wise, my frequency, my vibrations not matching up with my life anymore. I would come home and it didn't feel like home anymore.
Yeah.
But instead of ignoring these things, I would hang out with my friends, and they didn't feel like my friends anymore.
Yeah.
Like what most people will do is they'll numb themselves to that experience and be like, but these are my friends. Like, what am I supposed to do? I was friends with these guys for 16 years.
Yeah.
The average individual is not going to give up their friends of 16 years because the vibration isn't matching anymore. I mean, it wouldn't even occur to most people. Yeah. And I think at the time I was just starting to use that language and have that understanding. Mm-hmm. In the beginning, it just felt like we weren't getting along anymore. Yeah. But nothing felt right about home anymore. And so the biggest thing that I did was I sold everything that I owned in 5 days.
Jeez.
Everything. My furniture, my car, everything went. I brought a suitcase, left some boxes with Mom, was gone.
Yeah.
And within 30 days, I ended up meeting this gentleman who was an internet marketer at the time. It became is one of my best friends now. His name is Jonathan Budd. And I met him, and he introduced me to this amazing community here in Encinitas, California, in North County. And that community has been the most powerful, loving, healing experience I've ever. Like, this conversation is like, this is like daily convo now.
Yeah.
You know, everyone I hang out with is like, is somebody who is heart-centered, spiritual, entrepreneurial minded,
Yeah.
you know, trying to make an impact in the world, completely focused on personal development and being the best version of themselves.
Right.
So I attracted that community. I created that community,
Right.
that
Right.
awareness, and having that happen has been the biggest shift.
Yeah.
Because if I can do that, you know, if I could
Yeah.
have this intuition, like, go now,
Yeah.
and trust it so well that I sell everything that I own and be gone in 5 days,
Yeah.
and then come here and within 30 days meet this group of people that have transformed my life,
Yeah.
I can friggin' do anything. And I since
Right.
have. I've, you know,
Right.
that's only been leveraged up. You know,
Yeah.
every single one of us is a divine, powerful, magnificent being. You are not the small, itty-bitty flesh suit that you see in the mirror. You are so vast and far beyond that. You are power magnified times a million. You literally,
Yeah.
science can now prove that we came from stardust. That's how insane this experience is, if you're willing to accept it.
Yeah.
And so when you realize just how big and powerful you are, even if it's only for a moment, when you have that remembrance, you know, forgetting all of the layers of BS that we get put on top of us from school, from parents, from our supposed mistakes. I don't believe in making mistakes, but, you know, having things that don't go the way that we want them to. All that layers of stuff, when we even just for a moment are able to lift that and remember the magnificent being that we are, and just tap into that feeling like, I am powerful. If you just feel that for a moment, if you just say that to yourself and take a breath and remember you're bigger than the little person you see in the mirror, then I believe your entire life will begin to shift the more you can have those remembrances. So that would be my final words, is that you're more powerful and magnificent than you have any idea.
Very
You know?
cool.
So you get to start remembering right now.